Hi everyone, welcome to my first impressions on Creality's K1 Max. So the package itself weighs 51 pounds, and the box being so big, it is a bit awkward to hold, especially putting up on your desk. So explaining why I wanted to get the K1 Max is currently I have 3 CR10s, 2 of them being V2s and a V1, and they're alright. They're showing their age, so I'm having some issues moving forward with the prints I want to be doing. So with the K1, if you've seen any advertising on it, it has a big build volume, and the print speed's supposed to be a lot faster of that than the CR10s. So I wanted to try it out and see if I could have more consistent prints, especially doing helmets and other parts. So startup is, as you would expect for most new printers, a lot of tape holding down parts, installing the display screen, as well as taking off a couple screws that are within the print bed. Same thing for installing the filament. It's just a spool holder in the back that goes through a Bowden tube. And one concern I had here is the Bowden tube. You can see on the top left, it goes in at a bit of an angle, and it is a sharp pinch. So I don't believe here, but later on I was having issues with putting the filament in and feeding it to the extruder, since that angle was a bit tight. But besides that, really no complaints for startup or initial setup on Creality's part. It has a QR code that would prompt you to set up through the app, as well as some instructions, and if you have a local network, connect to it and monitor it on your PC. So soon after this, I'm gonna show a couple of prints that I tried with the K1 Max, and ultimately I did end up returning this unit. I'm not too sure if it was just a faulty one to begin with, but since the beginning with doing larger volume prints, it just was having a lot of issues from the start off either the Z-axis or under extruding. So showing the actual interface that you'll have to get to go with the K1 Max, it's pretty similar to that of Cura, just different in some sense. One thing that I took away from this was editing all the different preferences I have. It's doable, it's just a bit more hidden than how Cura is, with all your options being on the right. The UI seems a little bit more friendly, where this, even looking at other reviewers or first impressions, it's fairly new and may take some time to get used to. So starting off with the Scout helmet or Celox helmet print, it was going good up until the upper layers on the Z-axis, and it's tough to see on a time lapse, but it gives an idea on where the fell was. And looking into forums or online on posts, what seems to be a common issue with the K1 Max is under extrusion on higher layer heights, due to it printing so quick and it being further away from the print bed, that it'll cause those missed layer lines. And then once it starts picking back up to how it should be, it's too late because it skipped a couple of layers. Even with this attempt here, you could see the print quality is great up until the point of fail, and here it skipped a whole layer, or at least a few, and when it came out of the print bed, it just broke off. That was one part of the fail. The next was it had the same issue as the other one. A few hours into it, you can see above my thumb is, it just shifted and knocked off the print completely. So reaching out to Creality support to find out what's going on with this, it's a bit tough working with them. With their email contact, it took me a week or so to get a response back. It was a lot quicker going through their online chat, and The only catches through there, it would just be quick fixes based off their FAQs, such as slowing down the print speed and checking if there's any print clogs in the extruder, which is all fair. Just in this case, it wasn't the issue. With the K1 Max I got, it came with the newer version of the extruder they had compared to the previous ones they were sending out. Looks like those are the ones that were having a majority of the issues with their reviews. Whereas here you can see there's definite under extrusion, layer shifts, and it was just being a consistent fail. So I tried doing a new model, which was the Hayabusa helmet, at least the back of it. And even here, the option to detect spaghetti or other fails from happening just did not go off while I was at work. And it just kept printing as if nothing was happening. And yeah, it was just a mess coming back to see what had happened with the print and the amount of filament it just wasted. So moving on from helmets, I wanted to try something a bit smaller, which was an ODST vacuum forming buck. And here everything looks great. It was getting the poured the holes completed, but for some reason at that part of the Z-axis it just failed. So I attempted to do it again, and you could see, similar to the last one, it was going fine up until that part, and it just started to spaghetti a little bit. I was able to monitor these just to see if the print was to keep going or if it was to fail, and they, again, side by side, they failed at the same part of the Z-axis, which was lower than that of the helmets. So I wasn't entirely sure what's going on. Again, reaching out to Creality support, they let me know I needed to slow down the prints, which I already had. So it was another week or so until I heard back from them on what the next steps in the solution may be. And this is one of the other attempts I did for the C-Locks helmet. You can see here there's a layer shift, and again, spaghetti isn't detected and it keeps going overnight. So that was frustrating, and at this point, with the amount of prints, I tried submitting for a return through Creality, since that was where I bought it direct instead of going through a third party, and that was very tiresome to deal with. It was a lot of unanswered questions for going about a return. Even showing them the same footage I'm showing here now, it was seeming like those questions are being dodged, just waiting weeks on end for an answer, or just getting the generic remedies to fix what may be happening. In contrast to the fails, I tried printing the front part of the Hayabusa helmet, at least the face mask, and it turned out great, which was a bit odd, as you could see how this looks compared to the rest of the parts on the left. So it looks great. You can't really see the seam for the print. Perhaps the supports could have been cleaned up a little better, but that's on my part. So I tried doing something else for the X1C I just got, and it's going great here until spaghetti happened and under extrusion causes it to fail. So finally, since submitting for a return back mid-September, I finally got an answer just under a week ago for a shipping label, and that took about a month to get through. It took way longer than I had expected to get that process going. But moving on from this, here's my first attempt on printing the C-Locks helmet on my Bamboo X1C, and it came out way better. Although it was in 3 parts, this being the first 2, the bottom and top, compared to the first, second, third, and fourth I tried on the K1 Max. So that wraps up my first impressions with the K1 Max, and honestly I don't know if the unit I got was faulty. I know some other YouTubers out there have had major successes with large volume prints, and for whatever reason mine was just having fail after fail, regardless of model, which was odd enough. So if you're thinking about getting one thing I'd recommend is getting it through a vendor that has a more efficient way of doing returns. For example, Amazon or other vendors besides Creality itself. It for me was just a headache to deal with. But thanks for going through this video if you made it this far. If you have any questions on the experience of K1 Max, just leave a comment below and I'll try to answer them best I can. And hopefully here soon I could get a video up showing the progress on the suit or the Celox helmet that I just printed. But besides that, yeah. Thank you for watching my videos.